Hey guys, welcome back to my channel today. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 3 beauty truths that the makeup industry will never tell you. Now, this is kind of like an unpopular opinion type video, so if you do not agree with some of these truths, that's okay. I think there's going to be some that are going to be like, maybe hard to hear, I'm not sure, but these are some things that I've discovered, and as a smart consumer, I want to be incredibly aware of these things. So without further ado, let's get right on into these truths. Okay, let's talk about the first truth, and this is going to be super blunt, you guys, but here is the first one. Number 1, the makeup industry most likely thinks that consumers are stupid. Now, let me expand from that. First of all, I want to talk about how they advertise for their items. So when you see a new promo picture for an eyeshadow palette, the swatches that they give you are so photoshopped. It is absolutely insane. I have seen such crazy evidence of this. I have seen this across all brands. This has nothing to do with one brand or another. Every single brand I've ever seen definitely builds up their swatches. And I know for me, I'm a little bit guilty of that myself. When I do a review, I don't do one swipe and that's it. So perhaps that's something I should be thinking about as a reviewer. But for me, when I look at something like that, it's not so much the building up that I have the biggest problem with, it's more so the stuff that is so ridiculously photoshopped. So for instance, I've seen some brands where they'll literally put like the exact same shades and just like Photoshop it onto a fair skin tone and a deep skin tone as if the skin tone is not going to reflect how those shades will look. Like it's almost like, is that just insulting? Like obviously it's going to look a little bit different on someone who's fair versus someone who's deep. The same shade is going to appear a little bit differently, but sometimes they'll literally copy and paste an exact image in exact brightness. It is absolutely insane, and frankly, it's just ridiculous. Now let's talk about beauty filters, because this is another one that I feel like is a big one when it comes to advertising certain stuff, especially misrepresenting products. So for me, the first brand that comes to mind, and please don't hate me because I know she has a big following, and that is Pat McGrath Labs. Pat McGrath has this very distinct filter. It's almost kind of like static with a little bit of like shimmer or something. When it comes to this filter, the shimmers look amazing. It's like out of this world, and she tends to do that very like out of this world, like extraordinary. There's no doubt that that special formula that she does use is amazing, but it's never as amazing as the filter, okay? Unless you are going to be using a Snapchat filter, for instance, because that's another filter you can use, but in real life, it'll be beautiful, but not that beautiful. The last thing I want to say when it comes to photoshopping and misrepresenting like palettes or things like that, not only do they just Photoshop swatches because they just look way too perfect. I mean, let's be real, like they're definitely not going to be like human curated swatches, but sometimes you'll see like an advertisement. I'm going to pop this on the screen as well, where you have like an actual hand like doing this like on an Instagram story or something like that. And if you look really closely, you can actually see the swatches actually already there. So you'll see the arm, you'll see the hand kind of move, but the actual swatch is there. So the hand is just like tracing basically. They're not actually making the swatch because the swatch is already perfect. It's already built up. And if you look really closely, you will see part of the pigment on the other side where the finger has not reached yet. So that is something too where I'm like, do they think we're stupid or something? Like actually. The most recent culprit of this is definitely Hourglass. I have seen this recently, I believe in the last couple of weeks on their Instagram stories, talking about their scattered light eyeshadows. And this to me was a little bit disappointing because obviously this was already made up and the finger was just tracing, making it look as if the pigment was in one swipe, that pigmented, that consistent, perfect lines. To me, it's misrepresenting the product, and as a consumer, we need to be really aware of this. Now, truth number 2 is actually when it comes down to also thinking that we're a little bit stupid as consumers for sure, but I feel like the makeup industry thinks that we are so stupid that they are re-releasing the same shades, thinking that we're going to be buying the same palette over and over again. Unfortunately, they do this because of the demand, because this does happen. Obviously, somebody out there is buying them. And this is an opinion external from for instance, like a first time makeup lover and they're picking up a palette for the first time, their collection is very limited, or they're just starting out with trying a new brand, this opinion is not for those people. It's more so for makeup lovers like myself and some of my friends that have such big collections, but yet we still fall victim to the same palette being re-released with like 1 or 2 shades added in, same full retail price, different packaging though, so perhaps rearranging some of the shades, adding maybe 1 or 2 pops of color, and now we've got a new palette. This is making me a little bit salty. I feel very like heated about this because some of my favorite brands are doing this, and it's just something that I feel like they could do so much better in. They have such amazing creative departments. They've created great things in the past. So why are you recycling the same stuff and being like, ooh, Dreamgasm palette from Charlotte Tilbury. There's like 1 new shade or something like that out of 4? Yikes. Why else are they taking shortcuts when it comes to creating something new? Because the demand for these similar shades, the warm tone palettes, things like that, obviously the demand is still super high, so they're still gonna make their money. And as consumers, we can use our dollars to really impact that. So if we do start realizing like how much we have of the same thing and stop buying those things, it'll force them to think of something different because they still wanna make money at the end of the day. Now let's talk about beauty truth number 3, and that also comes from basically advertising and purchasing products and things like that. And this is one that I think is going to cause a little bit of some conflict. So let me know your thoughts on this one in particular, but Afterpay is a terrible idea in makeup. Now hear me out, because a lot of you guys are like, no, Afterpay is like the best thing ever. You know, why pay 56 bucks ahead of time when I can pay, you know, $20 over 3 months or whatever it is? Well, essentially, this is like managing debt. So basically, you are purchasing a palette that you can most likely not afford right now. I don't know if that's true or not for some people, but when you think about Afterpay, think about like a credit card, right? A credit card for me and how I use my credit cards, especially with makeup, is I definitely buy makeup with a credit card, but I'm the one that's literally sending the money right away from my debit account as soon as the like transaction goes through. So nothing is actually staying and carrying over month after month. So that is something to really think about. I mean, I use my credit card smartly because it is a rewards card, so I get points and I can get some flights discounted and things like that. So I'm using it smartly. With Afterpay, I feel like I don't believe it offers any benefit like that. I don't necessarily think that they charge you interest, so that's good because a credit card will do that. But I kind of feel like the have now, pay later kind of whole mentality in consumerism in general, I think it's a very slippery slope, honestly. If you cannot afford a makeup product today, there is nothing wrong with saving up for it. I don't know. I think it's just like the I want it now and give it to me now. And it's a lot of how they market stuff. Charlotte Tilbury is very, very bad for this when she says like, only 24 hours for the holiday palette. It's only available for the day and that's it. Like, that is definitely a sales move, right? She wants us to buy it immediately because then it's going to be gone. Same with limited edition products. There are some brands that are very much like, okay, it's limited edition, it's gone forever. We also have companies that are very guilty of saying limited edition and bringing it back. Anastasia Beverly Hills has done this with the Amrezy highlighter. It has come back for a brief moment, so things do end up resurfacing a little bit, but it is a sales tactic to really get us wanting. And Afterpay is just another thing to get us wanting and not waiting. Like, don't wait until you can save up for it and actually have cash in hand. Get it now and pay later. And again, a slippery slope, because once you have 4, 5, 6 palettes on this Afterpay program, you're paying like 50 to 60 bucks a month, paying off these things. I'm assuming that you're buying like a luxury item, by the way, not like drugstore or anything. But if you're purchasing large items, expensive items, and you're doing this Afterpay thing, you gotta be so, so careful. They do say as well in the fine print that they can and will, if you are neglective of your payments, they will affect your credit score. So that's another thing too. I've had people say, well, Afterpay is great because they don't run a credit score, and they don't initially, but they can. So know that. But this is one that I do realize might be a very unpopular opinion, because I do know people use Afterpay when it comes to buying gifts for someone. Like, I don't have the money up front, I will pay it off, that kind of thing. But a buy now, pay later kind of aspect should really be for more important things in life. I'm a makeup lover and I love makeup. So don't get me wrong, I think makeup is very like important to me in the way that it's my hobby and it's some way that I can be creative. But I don't think that Afterpay is a good idea because it's just like, it is not a necessity in life. You get a mortgage, that's like a payment plan every month, and that kind of makes sense to me. Like a lot of people don't have like $300,000 in cash ready to just buy a house. But for me, I would strongly encourage you to really rethink the idea of Afterpay and try your hardest to save up for something instead of just rushing to that kind of an option. If you save up for an item, it does mean so much more. I know for myself, when I save up for like a luxury item and I finally get the amount of money that I need, I literally look at it in my hand and I'm like, okay, is this actually worth it though? Because I can feel the money tangibly in my hand and I'm like, I need to make sure it's really worth it because it took me 3 months to get this. So just some food for thought. Lastly, I do want to say really quickly is that there should never be a makeup brand that makes you feel like you have the privilege to wear their products. I've also seen this as a bit of an advertising tool where it's like, oh, only the prestigious people that can afford my items are lucky enough to wear them, blah, blah, blah. No. I honestly think that makeup should have the privilege of being worn by you. So always know that you are in the driver's seat. Your money does matter. How you spend that money also makes an impact on the industry as a whole. So I know for myself, I'm going to be continuing to reflect on these types of advertising things and making sure that when I see swatches on an arm that is so ridiculously photoshopped, I know that's not going to be the way for me to buy the palette. I want to see a reviewer do it like myself or like a friend of mine. I want to see other people that I trust really swatch it on their hand and really give their honest opinions. That is why I like doing what I do. That's why I like watching the other friends I have on here do what they do. Don't fall for their advertising traps. Be extremely careful with something like Afterpay. Avoid it at all costs if you can, because yikes, that can get out of control. And you have beautiful features that are highlighted by makeup. Makeup does not control you, you control it. Always know that. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I would love to know your opinions on all of these things. Are you sick of all of the little advertising clips and tricks that these companies do? Are you excited for something new? Please let me know down below. And if there's any other truths that you think that I have missed, also let me know down below. I love reading all of your comments. And until my next video, guys, take care. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.
You and me, everything that we've been through has made us strong. You won't believe we've had our gray, but somewhere there's a light inside of us. It